What is up? It is your boy Johnny Mags, joined as always with
Dan Garcia.
and this is another edition of the All Angels podcast for the week of September 7th, 2017. Before we actually get going, I want to announce that we are on Google Play now, so not only can you find us on iTunes, but if you have a Android phone and you want to go ahead and listen to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. Do what you do on Android. Google Play, just search All Angels Podcast or Halo Haven, and you will get us there. Same thing on iTunes. If you haven't already subscribed and you're listening to us on Spreaker.com, go ahead and subscribe to iTunes if you haven't, or Google Play. Get it downloaded directly to your phone, and you won't even have to worry about hitting any links or anything like that. So that's an announcement on our end. As far as the Angels are concerned, last week we talked about the acquisitions of Justin Upton and Brandon Phillips. So far, Daniel, what are your thoughts on these acquisitions?
Kind of what our record is during the month, 50-50. Upton and Phillips have been, I guess, a good part of the team, but it's been the older guys, the guys that have been on the team for the season, that have stepped up in that time. So I don't know if it's cause and effect where are they getting better pitches now because those guys are the new guys are in the lineup or what, but it's a little up and down. Phillips is struggling a little bit. Upton's doing good. It's just they have to kind of find their way, I'm guessing, but it's still early.
Yeah, too early to tell, but I mean, why not have a guy like Brandon Phillips at second base every day? I mean, he's already had a couple of sick plays there at second base. Offensively, I mean, every time I've seen him, he's gotten a hit in the game. He's like 1 for 4, 1 for 5.
He's struggling a little bit. He's at a 188 batting average since the acquisition.
And Justin making a few errors in the outfield. A lot of people that I've seen on social media have kind of been calling for his head. Why did we trade Maven? Maven's hitting home runs now. But I tend to be realistic and look at the numbers and go, yeah, I'd rather pick Upton on our team rather than Maven. I'm not saying that Maven wasn't good for us or didn't do good for us or isn't doing good in Houston, but you put these two guys in front of me, right. 10 times out of 10, I'm picking Justin Upton to be in the lineup every day.
And Upton's actually not doing bad offensively. He's batting a 303 since the acquisition. He's on base for 484. So with the high on base percentage, it kind of shows that the teams that we're playing are showing him some kind of respect. So he's not going to have the high RBI, the high home run totals just because he's not been able to put the ball in play. He usually walks or reaching on the air or stuff like that. But like I said before, Crone and Albert have been kind of picking up that slack, but he's been getting on. I think that's the main thing you need.
Yeah, and you said it. Albert Pujols has been an RBI machine in the last, I would just say the last month, even the whole year. But yeah, these last 2 weeks, it's like every time he comes up there, he finds a way to get a hit, even if it's a base hit up the middle. I mean, a lot of people are like, well, he's not hitting home runs right now, blah, blah, blah. But dude, a true test of a true hitter is being up there down in the count most of the time. He's down 1 and 2, and somehow finds a big part of the field, gets a hit, gets an RBI when we need a run scored. So it's like, damn, every time he's up there, he's driving in a run. So it has to help that you have a guy like Upton hitting in front of you, along with Mike Trout.
Right, because there's a good chance because both guys, Trout, same thing for the last month. So the last 10 days or so, he's on base half the time. His batting average is a little bit lower than average. He's batting at 286. But his on base percentage is at 516.
Yeah.
So he's on base half the time.
Getting it done.
So between him and Upton, there's a good chance both these guys are going to be on base when Albert comes up. Mm-hmm. And so now a single will get you definitely 1 home from second. If anything deeper than that, they'll probably end up getting 2 home.
Right.
So it only benefited Albert because, like you said, he's been on some kind of tear the last 10 games. Because remember, he didn't play Wednesday morning. So before that, the 10 games before that, he has 2 home runs, 14 RBIs, and is batting 405 in 10 games.
Do you have Albert's on-base percentage in front of you?
In that meantime, I don't have it in the meantime, but he's not walking as much.
But he's on base.
He's on base because he's hitting, because of his hitting and stuff like that. But like I said, you like the production of putting the ball in play because of the fact when you put the ball in play, you're more likely to knock someone in. That's what Trout's kind of going through right now. Great on base percentage, but he doesn't have any RBIs and no home runs because he's not getting that opportunity because he's walking. So, there might be a Phillips or there might be someone in that 9 hole that's on base, but he's not able to knock him in because they're walking him more than half the time. But yeah, so it's just been kind of an up and down uh, month. You know, one week or one day they look super great, and then the next one they are really struggling. So
Yeah.
yeah, Albert's on base percentage in that 10 game period. It's up around 400, up around a little bit above. Let me get the exact number here. Yeah, it's 447 is his on base percentage. So, you know, he's getting on base also, but he's also able to get some hits and drive in some runs.
Yeah, and him being on the bases, you know, we've already talked about how he looks when he runs, like he's carrying a piano. It looks like Socha can beat him in a race. We've heard it all, and you know, we saw a couple of posts on Haven about people being upset that they give Albert a day off. How are you going to give this guy a day off when we need to win every game? He's been on a tear lately, and I think you and I agree, Daniel, where he's been on base so much, already having foot problems in the past, and then he fell the ball off of his foot the other day, and it's like, okay, why not give him a day off now in a day game, and then a day off today? He needed a day off, guys. He's been on base a lot, extra inning games. I mean, it can be good for his legs, right? I mean, you need to find a way to get the guy a day off.
Right, and his run. I mean, he scored 5 runs himself, so that means he's running all the way around the base paths. It's not like he's getting up to first. Okay, then he might. Sometimes, yeah, but there's been a couple times where he's gone to second, he's gone to third, and it's just.
I mean, a guy like Pujols who's struggling with foot problems and leg, you know, lower part of his body problems, it's hard for him. You know, you're asking a lot for a guy that's not used to running. And, you know, people are saying, well, he's a DH. He's not even on the field. And, yeah, but we already know how slow he is and he's achy. So, you know, give him a day off. I wasn't bothered by the day off. You had to give it to him eventually. Why not today?
Yeah, you have 3. The Angels have, you know, including today, we're recording this on Thursday the 7th. But including today, they have 2 more off days next Monday, and then the Monday after that, the 18th. So the 11th and 18th are the last 2 off days. So I'm guessing, you know, the 18th stretch, depending on where they are after that, when they come back on the 19th, there's a very good chance he's going to play all the way through for the last 2 weeks. You know, this might be his last day off when there's a game playing. So why not? When it's the last place team, yeah, you would like to bring home a W, but a lot of times that's not on one individual player to do that. So
yeah, and you know, those 2 games they played before that against Oakland were just, oh my God, heart attacks waiting to happen. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I don't even know what to watch, like either to watch or change the channel. I'm like, come on, you know. And so, you know, and then yeah, long games. They seem to go forever. And then the series against Texas before that, same thing. You know, long, just drawn out games. The Angels are 3-3 since we last recorded, so 500. That's in all likely, maybe it's not gonna get it done to get us in the playoffs, but there's still enough games to where, you know, at least we're keeping ourselves right there within a game and a half game. We took the lead for the second spot for a while there.
Yeah.
We need to maintain. We need to go on a bit of a roll, kind of, you know, where we knock around like 3 or 4 in a row and not lose 2 or 3 in a series. But you know what? I mean, other than you know, the 3-3 record that we've had since we last recorded, the other big news, other than Upton and Phillips, is return of Garrett Richards to the rotation. He only threw a few innings, but I don't think he looked too bad. He was limited to 50 pitches.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad. I mean, he could have probably stayed out there another inning or 2, but they just didn't want to push it. Why?
Push it. He did. He goes 3 1/3. 1 run, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Again, 52 pitches, so it's right in that pitch count limit that they gave. So going into the game, you knew it was gonna be 50 pitches or 3 innings. You know, kind of what came first. So he's right around that. You know, like to see him get into the 4th inning. You know, hopefully that's something to build on. Hopefully they maybe stretch him out again next time he starts. I think they said on Tuesday, I believe, because Monday's an off day. Hopefully I'd like to see him pushed maybe to like the 70 pitch limit there, 75, somewhere around there, so you can, you know, gradually see his pitch count going up. But yeah, so that was a big thing because that was the long way to return. But I believe, like you said, he did what he had to do. He came out, gave 1 run, but look, it's going to be a process getting him back because you can already tell the limits that are already on him from the manager and the front office.
Yeah, and what I was more impressed than anything was it looked like he was throwing hard.
Right.
There was a few times where he threw that slider and it looked nasty. Like it was like, okay, that's awesome. And that's good to see whenever a guy comes back from an injury like that, he's been out pretty much a whole year, and for him to come back and throw really hard, really loose, it was good. I was impressed to a certain point. I was like, okay, I can see him moving forward. Again, I'm not holding my breath on that, but anything we can get from Garrett Richards that's positive, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy that when his stuff is on, you can throw him out there in a clutch situation.
Yeah, definitely. And then from me watching the game, something I took away from it, and I don't know if it was a game plan going in or if it was just kind of what happened, but especially early, him knowing that he's going to be on some kind of count, it seemed earlier he was pitching to contact instead of trying to pitch a strikeout a guy.
Right.
So I believe that first inning he only threw like 5 or 6 pitches.
Right.
So he was working quick. He was staying in the strike zone. Sometimes I think he gets a little too cute and tries to, his stuff is so good that he tries to start it in the zone and work it out. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times if it gets away from him, it's a wild pitch, or he walks a guy. It seemed like he trusted his movement on stuff where he started in the zone and then let it move in the zone, but was thinking that they're not going to get a solid piece of wood on it and was able to put it in play and was able to, get quick outs, get 5-pitch innings, 7-pitch innings, 10-pitch innings, something quick. Because I think for him to be really, really successful, I think it's going to come down to that. Maybe go a little further away from being the strikeout dominant pitcher he was and pitch the contact, pitch the ground balls. Like you said, that slider is nasty. I don't care if you started on one end of the base and it goes to the other side of the base. The plate, there's not a lot of players that are going to be able to put a solid piece of contact on it and drive it through the gap or anything like that. A lot of times you're going to foul it off, or they're going to get some kind of ground ball.
Ground ball more than likely.
Exactly, and if you can get through that and keep your pitch count down, keep your guys behind you more invested in the game, I think that will work for him as far as long term. So that's something that I will be personally looking out for to see if he gets too cute and tries to strike everyone out, or is more like, I want to pitch the contact, put the ball in play. I have a great defense behind me, and they will make plays happen.
And you're right. That slider is nasty, but everything he throws moves. And
right,
it moves
exactly. It's
hard.
Yeah.
It's not a Greg Maddux, Jared Weaver. This thing's moving. This thing's cutting. I guess really what he needs to work on is getting the ball down in the zone.
Right.
Ground balls all day, and trust in your fastball. If a guy catches it, but it moves so much that you can. On a 0-2 count, you can maybe elevate the fastball a little bit, try to get it by him.
Right, especially if it's like an 0-2, 1-2 count, they're going to swing it.
Then if not, work your slider in the towards the low, middle of the plate, try to get a ground ball. Like you said, pitch to contact, and that will definitely alleviate a lot of the arm issues that he has.
Exactly,
Obviously, because then you're not throwing as many pitches in the count. So that's common sense.
You get deeper into games, like kind of like we'll talk about it later, but give that bullpen maybe a day off or so, or something like that. Yeah,
and that's what I was going to move on to is the bullpen. Look, we've struggled in the last few games, but at the same time, we've won games where the bullpen had to pitch. I mean, even we're talking about Richards. He only pitched 3 in the third inning. We had to use
but even what was that one game where they ended up using 12 different pitchers? At
the time, a major league record?
Well, now it's tied between Boston, but Boston played 19 innings.
Wow, 19.
But so it's crazy to think about all the. I forgot the exact stat, but I was watching the game on Tuesday, and they showed the pitchers, starting pitchers. Innings pitched in the bullpen, and the bullpen had like another 5 or 6 innings more over the certain time, and it's going to wear you down. I don't care how well of a bullpen you have. It's and a lot of these guys, and we were texting back and forth. It's like, oh man, we're throwing it around. Is it that they're going through a bad stretch, or is it that they're gassed?
It has to be a little bit of both. But then again, we're looking at guys now that we haven't even seen the whole season. Blake Wood, Noe Ramirez, right?
Yeah,
Blake Wood,
the hair.
Scribner coming in situations in the bullpen now, Fernando Salas, who, he was pitching with the Mets, but wasn't in our bullpen. So we're seeing guys that we hadn't seen all year in situations where we kind of need you to get outs.
Right.
And it's going to happen. For the most part, the Angels bullpen all season long has been really effective.
Right.
So now we're hitting a kind of where it's like, well, the guy comes in, like Blake Wood the other day, came in, struck out 2 guys in clutch situation, came out for another inning,
Yeah,
got 2 quick outs.
I was kind of on the edge about that. I was
got 2
why.
quick outs, and then bam, 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 and you're like, oh my gosh, you know. I don't know really. I'm not gonna pinpoint it's that they're gassed or it's that they got a stretch where it's, you know, they're a bad stretch. I throw my hands up in there. I can't answer that question.
I think part of it too is the usage throughout the whole season, because I just looked up like our 3. I would say some of our 3 key guys would be Blake Parker, Petit, and Cam.
Okay.
I kind of looked at both games pitched and innings pitched. Blake Parker, for example, he's already at 65 games pitched this season. His previous high before coming into this season was 49.
Ooh.
And then you look at innings pitched, right now he's at 61. And his career high, again, same year as the 49 games pitched in 13, was 46 and a third.
Oh yeah, he's way.
So
over.
he's way over his career
Yeah.
his career record, if you want to say, career high. And same thing with Petit. Petit's a little different because he was a starter for a little bit.
Starter too.
So his innings aren't where his high is, his personal high is, but his games are.
Yeah.
He's pitched in 50 games. Before that, in 2015, his high was 42 games. And then this doesn't take into account how many times do these guys get up, warm up,
Yeah.
something happens, okay, cool, go sit down. Oh wait, something happened, get up again, warm up again,
Yeah.
and go sit down. So there's a lot of that going on back and forth. And same thing with Cam. Granted he was a little injured this year, but he's getting really close to his career highs in games and innings pitched. Games pitched, he's at 39 right now. Career high is 45. So it's a good chance he's probably going to reach that.
I go get it.
Yeah, and same thing with innings pitched. His innings pitched right now is 37. His career high is 40 and a third.
Yeah, he's getting
So
that.
he's all these main guys that you're looking for, and not to mention Middleton. He's a rookie. He doesn't have a career high. This is all
Right.
new to him.
Yeah.
So between those 4 players, all these guys are going to be at career highs, and so you have to lean on this on these starters to at least get you at least 5, 6, 7 would be great, but going out in the 3rd inning, going out in the 2nd inning,
Yeah.
Richards aside because of the health issues, but everyone else that's getting out bumped super early, it's not helping the bullpen that was really your strength at the beginning of the year, middle of the year. It's not helping at all.
Yeah, it's the pitching staff, their starting rotation really needs to start working those innings pitch now, because we're getting to that point now late in the season where now these guys that are coming in these situations are auditioning for possibly an October role,
Right.
October playoff spot. I have to, I was impressed with Ramirez. Noe Ramirez came in and man.
Yeah, I don't know where he came from because I haven't. Yeah.
He got picked up from, I believe, I don't remember who, but he's a Cal State Fullerton guy.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
I want to say we picked him up off of I can't think of it off the top. I remember when
Boston.
we got him. Was it Boston?
Boston.
Yeah. And I love the movement on his slider. Oh man, that thing was nasty. He went in there and shut down the door the other day. There were no outs, runners on 2nd and 3rd. And he came in and got the job done.
Fairly young, 27 years old.
Yeah, so,
not,
you know.
not an older kid. But yeah, I mean, that's a good thing. And that's part of the what helps teams out around this time. You bring up these pitchers that no one's ever seen. There's no scouting report on
Yeah,
this guy.
so
I mean, that part it will help. The Angels when the bullpen issues because there's no scouting report on half these guys because half these guys maybe had a cup of coffee in the majors.
right.
So you're just throwing what they have, and these guys are kind of figuring it on the fly. So he's been a really good little acquisition for the Angels this year because, like you said, he's been put in some couple bases loaded, 1 or 2 outs. Hey, you got to go out there and pitch. But yeah, he's been in 4 games so far. His ERA is 0, so there's nothing better you can do about that.
And another guy we talked about him a couple weeks ago. It was in the big deal. We talked about Fernando Salas. He came in and pitched a couple of good innings here and there. That's the kind of guys that we need down the stretch now, where it's like, okay, let's go to Noe Ramirez, let's go to Fernando Salas. In situations where guys are getting, pitching, the starter is on the 3rd inning. You have to go to Salas. You have to go to Noe Ramirez. You got to go to Blake Wood, and like I said, these guys are, hey, I'm here right now. I'm gonna help the team win. I'm gonna try to if we make the playoffs, I want to be on that roster,
right?
And
everyone was kind of like, Salas, because I saw some of the posts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But no, 4 games of 1.69 ERA. Granted, it's a really small sample, but he's only gonna have a small sample because he's only probably gonna be up here for this, October, September run. And then, if he pitches well, then maybe you find a place for him in October. Right. But first things first, he has to kind of hold his weight now. And I think To this point, he has.
Yeah, and he came in. I think he pitched in one of the extra inning games.
Yeah,
and
he actually got the win.
1, 2, 3. I mean, he got done with that lineup. I think it was the game against the Rangers, or was it game against Oakland?
Probably Oakland. Oakland, he got the win. So
and it was 1, 2, 3 like that, and I just was so impressed with that inning. I was like, man. And then we came back, scored that next inning, and the door was shut, and we won.
And then that's the game he won against Oakland. And then the very next day, he comes out and pitches 2 innings against Oakland also.
Yeah.
So it's like you're getting good innings, but you're also getting high pressure leverage innings too.
Yeah.
So that's something definitely you want.
And that's a guy with experience. The guy is like, again, everyone bragged about Salas, whatever. This guy was a closer in Seattle, was a world champion in, not Seattle, St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
World champion in St. Louis, helped that St. Louis team, was pivotal in the 8th innings in that championship team. I love the pickup only because he's able to pass his experience on to the younger guys.
Yeah, and don't underestimate the mental aspect of it. Going from the Mets, where they weren't going anywhere, they're struggling, they're trading a lot of their key players, now to being in the middle of a hunt, maybe gets the adrenaline pumping a little bit more, he's a little more invested. Because these guys are human too. When you're really close to something that you're working for, whether it be the playoffs or whether it be like a World Series, he can definitely maybe find that extra gear. And so, I never try to count out anybody until they're actually put in a situation like he has been the last week.
Right. Okay, so before we get going on other stuff, because I think some of these questions kind of, I posted on the Halo Haven page on Facebook that we have a email account that you guys can go ahead and email, your questions, your comments to, and it's allangelspodcast@gmail.com, allangelspodcast@gmail.com, and we quickly received 3 emails. So I want to get to these because a lot of these questions are kind of have to do with what we're talking about. This one's from Rob Lastines, and he said, "How's it going, guys?" He said he went on a All Angels podcast bench today since he discovered us through the Halo Haven fan page on Facebook. So follow Halo Haven on Facebook. He said, "So headed down the stretch, we have a fairly tough schedule. Can we sustain the pace we have been on, considering the last few games we have played? Can they keep coming back and staying games the way they have been realistically?" Rob from Tupelo, Mississippi. What do you think, Dan? We kind of touched on it quickly, but when I read you the email, but
it's the schedule I think is going to play a big part in it, because we do have 22 games left, 6 against Houston and Seattle, 4 against Chicago, 3 against Texas, and 3 against Cleveland. Cleveland right now is killing everybody.
Yeah. So Seattle's no walk in the park either.
Yeah. So besides Chicago's the only team that where you think to yourself, we should win that. They're 54 and 84 right now, so it's not like they're really playing for anything. They have a lot of young guys to try and get reps, but everyone else that you're playing, Houston, Seattle, Cleveland, and Texas, they're either like in Cleveland and Houston, they're trying to get that #1 spot for home field.
Right.
Texas and Seattle are just trying to play for the same boat the Angels are. So it's not going to be easy. Honestly, I think they're going to have to be playing a little better than they have been, just because all the other teams, like the Twins, have been. Baltimore's right behind the Angels. So, I know we'll probably get to it later, but Fangraph got, had our...
Yeah, and I could read that now. I actually have it up. This is from Jeffrey Johnson, fan of the show, fan of Halo Haven. He frequently asks questions on our Instagram feed. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, what's up? Facebook Live or Instagram Live, what's up? Jeff's question is, as of last night, Fangraphs has the Angels' probability of playoff appearance or wild card game appearance at 32%. Considering what you guys saw from this ball club in the last week, what would your personal projection percentages be? Thanks as always for bringing Angels fans together. Have a great one. Thanks, Jeff. Oh, I don't know if I can put a percentage on it. It all goes back to that pitching staff has to
perform.
Yeah, the rotation has to give us innings and keep us in games if we're going to really have a shot of making it to that second wild card spot. That first wild card spot is in distance too, but the starting rotation needs to put it together, give us at least 6 innings of quality starts.
Right.
We need quality starts from these guys. As far as the percentage goes, oh man, I can't give you a number. I don't know if you got a number.
The 30%, 31%, 32% that he was referring to, I think that's fairly accurate, because they are kind of in that third place You know what I mean? Because you look at the Yankees, the Yankees are around 80% that they're going to make a wild card, which they should. The Yankees should be able to make the wild card, whether it's in that first spot or that second spot, like we were talking about. But the biggest thing is the Twins. The Twins aren't losing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But this game is so weird, just in general. Baseball is so weird in general. Teams can go on a big bend, like either a big win streak or a big losing streak really quickly. I mean, look at the Dodgers, for example. They were running away with everything, and now they've lost, like 9 out of the last 10. Diamondbacks have railed off 12 straight almost. So, it's going to come down to, again, same thing we kind of been talking, or I've been talking about the last couple of weeks. It's kind of whoever that team is that's going to go on that first big winning streak.
Yeah.
You kind of hope it's coming. Someone that could put 6-7 games together. So, it's hard. That 31%, 32% they were talking about seems about right. But there's so much that needs to happen in front of you, too, with the Twins losing. They're playing the Royals this weekend, so you kind of hope the Royals can help them out. Because the Royals are, again, but even then, if the Royals win, if the Royals go on a streak and take the Twins out of it, now you got to worry about the Royals coming from behind you and beating and taking the spot away from you because now they're on a streak. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. You got 7 teams that are are within 3.5 games of that last playoffs or last wild card spot. So the Rays could get on a hot streak, and the next thing you know, they take that second wild card.
And they did. They went on a hot streak there. There's a lot of things that need to happen.
Yeah, and again, a lot of these teams are kind of just mediocre. None of them are so much better than the team behind them or team in front of them that they can run away with it. Like
right.
It might literally come down to that last weekend in Anaheim where the Angels are going to play against Seattle.
Cool.
So I mean, as a fan, that seems legit. Like, cool, I got tickets to that Saturday game. I hope it means something, and if that Sunday game comes down to it, I'm going to try to get tickets to that. And then there might be a playing game on Monday. There's a good chance the Angels could be tied with the Twins, Orioles, Yankees, one of those teams, and they need a playoff game, and they're playing a game on Monday. So everything's such a big cluster. But getting back to the original question, they do need to play better.
Yeah.
3-3, 500 is not going to win them the wild card.
No.
It's not going to push them ahead because they need to go on a kind of like what we were talking about in the month of August. They were about 4 or 5 games above 500, and I think that's kind of where they need to be at the end of this month. They need to be 5 or 6 games above 500 to realistically get in that second wild card spot.
Yeah. It's again, I'm not. I mean, 5. Yeah, they need to do better than 500. Okay, last question from our email account is from Mike Vigil, and I'll read this whole question or comment. He said, "A show about the Angels, sweet. I'm an Angels fan here in New York City, so there's little to no coverage of the Angels. Womp womp. Anyway, so if the Angels do make it into October, what are the chances that they do continue on to the ALDS, ALCS, or World Series? Honest opinion, guys. It's okay. I can take it. I say we're one and done. Don't murder me. That pitching staff. ... What's your take on that?
No, and again, that same thing. The teams are so hot and cold. You have a team, again, since the last podcast, you have a team, an offense that's scoring 7 runs a game, an average 7 runs a game since last week. But on the flip side, you got a defense, a pitching staff that's given up 6.5 runs per game. So it's like, you got to figure out what is going to be, what's going to work, what team's going to show up. If the Angels play to their potential, to where we've seen them play before last month or a couple weeks ago, there's a good chance they can make a good run at the division. The AL, they're probably going to play Houston.
Oof.
And Houston's always tough, especially in that ballpark where you get the ball up at all, it's going to carry, and a lot of times it's going to be out. But divisional opponents, you see each other. There's not that fear factor where if you go to, and again, kind of looking forward, if you get to the championship series, you're probably going to play Cleveland, and Cleveland has starting pitching, has great offense, has a MVP contender, but it's going to see what team shows up. Like, I hate to be the kind of guy, oh well, we have to wait and see. Like, I don't feel comfortable predicting this is going to happen or that's going to happen, because this team is so up and down. If the team was consistent one way or the other, then it'd be easy. Like, yeah, look at the numbers, they're going to be like this. But for every time they go out and give up 10 runs, there's probably 2 or 3 games where they've given up 3 runs. So
yeah.
it's just very up and down.
I boil it down to if Tyler Skaggs can be an effective starter, if Andrew Heaney can be an effective starter, it's a starting rotation.
Yeah.
You need a guy like Heaney, you need a guy like Skaggs to be the guy. You know, now they're getting to the point where they've pitched 3, 4, 5 games. Okay, let's get it going. Let's rev it up a little more. You need. I sound like a broken record, but the starting rotation needs to give you quality starts from here on out. Really, you need. And we'll touch on this. You said it. Matt Shoemaker's out for the season. Looks like J.C. Ramirez is out for the season as well. We don't have those guys now. So now, okay, we got to look to Skaggs, Heaney, Richards to rev it up, dude.
Their rotation is pretty much set for the rest of the year, barring an injury.
Oh gosh.
But it's going to be a Skaggs, a Heaney, a Richards, a Bridwell, and a Lasco. Those are your 5 guys.
Yeah.
Those are the 5 guys they're going, and hopefully they can get to the playoffs with. But how much do you trust those 5 guys? Nolasco's obviously had his big struggles in the home run department. Heaney and Skaggs are still kind of trying to work back, but you expect them to take a step forward. Heaney seems until that last start. Again, it's just everyone's last start. It's kind of shaky except for Nolasco, which is kind of weird. So you got Richards coming back. Bridwell got lit up again. So you're kind of just trying to figure out what guy's going to show up at what game. You got Astros at home, you got Texas at home, you got Cleveland at home, then you got Astros again away. Astros ballpark, like we said before, is known as a hitter's ballpark. Anything really that's hit somewhat hard and in that air is going to carry, and it might be a home run. Chicago, I believe, is more of a pitcher-friendly park. And then too, you got, again, the last series is at home. So what you do have going for you is that it looks like you're going to have more pitcher-friendly ballparks, because Angel Stadium's considered pitcher-friendly, than you would hitter-friendly. And I think at this point, that's what we need, is any kind of little advantage like that the Angels could use.
Right. Well, I mean, again, to answer your question, Mike, I guess we're not really going to answer the question. We got to wait and see, and I'm with Daniel on that. First things first, and we have to take care of what we need to take care of right now in order for us to get to an ALDS, to an ALCS, or even a World Series. A team can get hot. This team offensively, we see what they can do. Yeah, we see what they can do. So the offense will keep us in games for sure. So, I mean, you can catch fire. Every team catches fire, and you just never know. What do they say? Catch lightning in a bottle? That can happen. You just never know. So, hate to not fully answer your question, Mike, but that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one to answer. Okay, so moving along, we posted a question as we do every week, and I'll let you take care of this one, Daniel, because you're the one that posted it.
So for new listeners, we try to post a question every week, every Monday, on our Halo Haven Twitter account. So it's Halo_Haven on Twitter, and then our Halo Haven fan chat page on Facebook. You type in Halo Haven. It's a closed group. You put in a request, and Chris or I will, approve you. And then it's just a place where people can talk about what's going on in baseball, what's going on with the Angels, what's going on at the game at the time. But anyway, so the poll question this week was, and I kind of thought about it because last week they had a game on FSN,
right,
their Saturday game.
Right.
And then you see them on ESPN a handful of times throughout the year, and the same thing with FSN. So I was just wondering what people think about, where do you as a person individually like to listen to the game at? Is it, your choices were Fox Sports West, which is their flagship carrier that carries probably, like I would say, 90% of their games.
Mm-hmm.
AM 830, so I gave the radio because I know some people rather listen to on the radio because of nostalgia, or they like the people that do the radio better than the TV guys. ESPN, and then FS1. So with everyone's votes, and we had over 100 votes, which was our highest we've had since we started doing this a couple weeks. But Fox Sports West, the flagship, was about 54%. AM 830 was 44%, and then ESPN and FS1 were both 1% each. So no surprise there. I knew kind of where it was going to go, so that's why I put the AM 830 in there to kind of split the hometown bias, kind of.
Right.
But it makes sense. You get comfortable with the set of announcers, and you want to go to them. You see them every day, or you hear them every day, and you feel comfortable doing that. Me personally, I voted for FS or Fox Sports West because, like I said, it's cool. You see the guys every day.
Yeah.
But I don't mind because people just don't like it at all when you go to ESPN or they go to FS1. I kind of like the ESPN broadcast every once in a while because of new announcers. They kind of give you a new look on what they're seeing, and then two, the technology. And I don't know if Fox Sports West doesn't have technology for it, but the imprinted strike zone on the screen, I kind of like having that instant gratification where it's like, oh, that ball was there. Oh, that ball was there. You know, every once in a while on FSN, they're like, or Fox Sports, they'll be like, oh, that was way outside. And I'm like, was it? I couldn't tell. And then, you know, sometimes they show it and it's like, okay, maybe it wasn't that outside as they originally thought, but at least with the ESPN, you can see right away. And if they say that was high, then you'd be like, oh, yeah, that was high, or that was in or out, or whatever.
Yeah, you know, me being an Angel fan my whole life, I can go back to like my earliest memories of being like 1986. So that's a ways back. But you know, the Angels really, I wasn't around for the Dick Enberg era, and so you know, the Angels aren't really a team that has had that one iconic figure.
A steady figure, yeah.
Right, like a Vince Scully or Harrelson over in Chicago. What's his name over Kerry over in Chicago, and Euchre in Milwaukee. You had the guy from Atlanta. I can't remember his name. The Angels never really had that. I mean, we had that in Physioc and Hugger for a while. I remember they did games for at least 10 years, but they weren't. I wouldn't say they were an iconic figure. Terry Smith's been doing the games on the radio since 2002.
And I heard that a lot. I heard people say they just listen to the radio, where they might have the TV on, they might mute it, and then they might be playing the radio in the back because they prefer the older Terry Smith who's been there for a while, who, you know, and he does a wonderful job. I listen to the radio.
I listen to it too.
You know, when especially during the day game and I'm at work, I put it on, and he does a wonderful job. So I don't blame him at all.
So to me, we've been through. Chris can attest to this. I mean, Bob Starr, Mario Impemba, Ken Brett and Ken Wilson on the Channel 5 broadcast. But personally, I picked Fox Sports West. I don't mind Gooby. I don't mind Victor. They get a lot of flack from a lot of fans. I don't know why. Honestly, I think they do a decent job. People say, oh, they talk too much about pitching. But they were both pitchers. I mean, whatever. And, you know, I find them fine. I don't feel like they're doing a bad job. I think they do a great job. Like you said, Terry Smith does a great job on the radio. Mark Langston was my favorite pitcher growing up as a kid. I even pitched like Mark Langston. I had a high leg kick and everything. So Mark Langston does a great job. His insights are awesome. So I listen to the radio when I have to listen to the radio. But obviously, when it's on TV, if it's on Fox Sports 1 or Fox Sports West or on ESPN, I had to choose between the three. I'm choosing Fox Sports West. But like you said, I don't mind going over to ESPN, checking out what the announcers have to say, because they're guys that are on the East Coast. I want to know what their feelings is on the Angels. You know, when John Smoltz or when the game's on MLB Network, and you know, you get Bob Costas's insights. So it's cool to hear somebody other than the guys you hear every day. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'll pick Fox Sports West. So I don't mind anybody else, but Fox Sports West is my thing. So. Yeah.
Just adding to what you guys are saying, John talked about a little bit. Back in the day, you could only watch games on KTLA if the game was game was sold out. They probably put out a schedule of 20-something games a year. Yeah. So I don't think the kids these days will ever know the true struggle of watching games.
They don't, because I don't know about you, Chris. We're very similar, and we're right there in age too. So our fandom is crazy. So. Do you remember the summer games that they would play in Oakland, like the other day? It would come out on TV. Do you remember that?
Yeah, a little bit.
I would be super excited because I get to watch Angels in the middle of the day. Like, that's crazy. But now, instant access, you can watch Angels on anything, on
your tablet,
on your phone. Every game is on TV, MLB Network. You get the MLB Pass or whatever it is.
You get to listen to this fine podcast from a
the
garage live. I mean, that's a trip, right?
The only Angels podcast, by the way, that you can...
the best and the only.
That you can subscribe to on Google Play and on iTunes. And if you have a Spreaker account, you can go on Spreaker.com and check us out. Why not subscribe and listen to the podcast there, Our insights aren't, we don't claim to be experts, but our opinions are those of fans. So let's see, where else do we go from here? Looking forward to this next week. We talked about it. we got these games against Seattle. It's coming up next, right?
Yeah, Seattle's this weekend. They're up in Seattle. They have a 3-game set: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they're back home for Houston. Starting again, Monday's an off day. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is going to be Houston, and then Texas is coming in for the weekend. So again, you have mostly AL West teams coming in. You have a couple AL, the Central with Chicago and Cleveland coming in. But yeah, so it's kind of do or die now. I mean, they could be this time next week, if they have a bad week, we could be saying, pack it in, it's been fun, or they could be a game up in the wild card. It's just, again, It depends on what team shows up and at what point do they start getting the pitching clicking.
Seattle has a decent pitching staff over there. I know the other 2 weeks ago when we swept them, we just kind of got hot at that time.
Right.
We're gonna need that again. I don't know who's going for them, but I know they got a tough lefty in Paxton. Is he still? Was it Paxton? I think it's Paxton. I know they have a lefty that just gives the Angels fits.
It was Paxton, yeah.
I hate seeing him. Who's that other guy they have? He's another lefty. There's 2 lefties. Can't remember the other guy's name, but Paxton. If we have to deal with him, man, Seattle is what, about a game and a half away from us right now.
In the wild card, they're a little bit more than that. Yeah,
or am I thinking of?
You're probably thinking of Baltimore.
There's so freaking many teams that are right there within striking distance. It's ridiculous. Even Texas is there.
Yeah, I mean everyone's there, but so we're a game out. Angels are a game out of the wild card. Baltimore's 2 games out. Texas is 2.5 games out. Seattle's all the way 4 games out. Okay. They've been struggling as of late, but again, like we said, any team that gets hot, it can make a push for it, but I mean the biggest ones that are on the Angels' tail is going to be Baltimore and Texas. Baltimore you have no control over because you don't play them. Texas, you still have 3 games against Texas.
And those games against Texas, man, are not. Man,
they don't play well against the Texas State team in general.
I think I texted you when we were playing Texas. I'm like, what is with the Angels in Texas? I mean, it is a knockout, drag-out game every time we play these teams, and then especially the Texas Rangers, dude. I can't. I just the good thing was, well, not even the good thing. Beltre wasn't even in the lineup these last 2 games against them. And gosh, dude, like that. You look at the teams that they have. They have Mazzara in that. Mazzara, what's the dude? Gallo.
Gallo's the guy, the big power guy right now. They got Odor,
Napoli who can hit a home run.
Napoli, Odor.
Andrews who kills us a lot.
Yeah, I mean, all these teams that are in that same area as the Angels have players on it. It's not like they're a bunch of, whether it's Baltimore with Machado, Texas, kind of what you were saying. Tampa Bay made some moves at the deadline to get Duda in there. You always got Longoria in there too. So all these teams are playing, and again, no one's running away with it. No one's making it hard for the other team. Everyone's around that 6-4 out of the last 10 kind of streak.
You kind of touched on it earlier. Is that a lot of times too that these teams are playing each other. So you're like, I hope the Rays beat the Orioles right now, but. Oh man, the Rays are only 3 games back.
Right.
Man, or Texas is playing Seattle right now. Who do we want to win that game? So really, the only thing we can do is win the games that we're supposed to win. Take care of it. I mean, I keep saying it every podcast, but that's the truth. You got to win the games that you have to win. Like the Oakland series, we needed to win that series. We did.
Yeah,
would have been great to take the series and sweep them, but you're not going to win every game. The bullpen was taxed. The pitching rotation was below average.
Right.
Gotta pick it up. We just gotta pick up the pitching rotation. They need to pitch quality innings, quality games. I don't even know what else to say about the pitching staff. Offensively, I'm 100% set with that lineup. But people get mad when why is Pennington playing today? You gotta give guys days off.
And Pennington has not been, doing bad at all. He's actually been, I think, one of the better contributors in the short term so far this year, because like I said, he's not an everyday player. So the fact that between him and then even Revere, these guys aren't getting reps every day, ain't getting at bats every day. So the fact that they can come in after having 2 or 3 days off and say, okay, contribute somehow, You know, and the fact that they do, I think, is a big help to the Angels. So, you know, any little, you know, Pennington's last 8 games playing, that's from August 24th to the 6th, he's batting over 400. I mean, for a guy coming off the bench as a utility guy, you know, granted he's not going to give you that big power number that has the grand slam in that time period.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're batting over 400, 421 with on base percentage of 455 for, like I said, a guy that's coming off the bench, not getting every day.
Yeah.
You know, you're not losing a lot. You're not losing a lot of production there. And even too with Valbuena, he doesn't really play against lefties. So you need someone to come up and play third base, and Pennington can.
Okay, so we'll say it again. I'm gonna ask the question to you, Daniel. Escobar's coming back soon.
I kind of say, well, you go with what's hot. If Escobar's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, so you're not. It's not one of those things where, man, you got to deal with him in the offseason. You can just say, okay, goodbye, and then not have to worry about it. I honestly think it's to a point of this year where you're this close to a wild card berth that you literally play the hot hand. You play if so and so has a 10-game history going, like a Crone or something like that. You keep him in. I think Crone has a 12-game history right now. You keep him in.
Yeah.
You know, if Valbuena has a history of hitting this guy really well, you keep him and say, Escobar, hey, stay close because we can hit you in the 7th, 8th inning.
Yeah.
And you're gonna, or not Valbuena, but Yunel, and you're gonna have to make a contribution that way. Like, you might not like it. Yeah, it might, might not be what you want, but guess what? This is what's gonna happen because look where we're at. You know, so
And we posed a question in one of the polls a few weeks ago. I said, do we lose anything with Escobar being on Valbuena? And we really haven't. I mean, Luis numbers in the last month have been pretty damn good, and he's got 18, 19 home runs. That's crazy. Like, that's third in the team.
Yeah, he has 18 home runs, and again, like you said, if you take into account, he didn't start the season on the roster because he was injured, and two, he had that horrible start to it. So it's almost like he didn't really start playing until I would say like the All-Star break. But like you said, that his last month alone. If you want to count August and then the handful of games of September, he's been okay. He's been all right. His power numbers are there. 7 home runs and 20 RBIs are there. He's on base, at a 343 average on base percentage because he's taking walks. I mean, and
that's what's been kind of impressive to me too. Like, dude, he's an on base machine lately,
Right, and I think that's the biggest thing too is that. Getting on base. You get on base, a lot of these guys don't need to be like the big bats. Like if they get them, great. But when you have a Trout, when you have a Pujols, when you have a Simmons this year, if you can just get on base and let them hit you in, that's what you need. You don't need a bunch of solo home runs.
Right.
You need that guy on base. Yeah, it's a 2-run home run, or maybe you get 3 guys on base and you have a base clearing double.
Yeah.
And 3 runs there. But I think the on base part is what really is.
Well, I mean, even just, Luis getting on base the other day in front of Maldonado, who went and hit home runs. So, let's talk about Maldonado. 14 home runs on the season is a career high.
Right.
I didn't expect 14 home runs from Martin Maldonado when we signed up. I said, who's Martin Maldonado? Like, I don't know.
You brought him in for the defense aspect of it because he's always been a really highly scouted
cannon for an arm.
Right, he's always been a highly defensive catcher, and you've always when the season started, you would hear Reineke talk about him because he had him when he was the manager in Milwaukee. So they always talked high praises about his defense, but again, the guy is just an extra bat that you did not see coming at the beginning. Yeah, you didn't see it coming at the beginning of the year. Again, so the power numbers are there. He's playing a shitload of games, so I don't know how that's going to work out.
The innings part,
Yeah, the constant up and down. Like, he might get hit for in the 9th every once in a while, but for the most part, he was playing like 11, 12 games in a row. And for a catcher, that's really rare to have that many games in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they'll get like 6, 7 games, and then they'll have a Sunday getaway day off.
Right.
Or they'll play like a first base if you have that kind of DH slot for your catcher. But it's crazy to see what his production is. His power numbers. He doesn't have a lot of RBIs because again he's in the bottom of the lineup. There's not a lot of times people are on with him, but he's definitely a positive that the team did not expect offensively this year.
The most home runs by an Angels catcher since Mike Napoli, guys. And that was a while ago. Mike
Right.
Napoli hasn't been on the team since, like, what, 2010, 2011, 2010? So, I mean, you know, coming out of the catcher's position, we haven't had much offense coming out of there since Mike Napoli left. So to get 14 home runs from Martin Maldonado, again, you know, people were talking a lot lately. It was like, well, we didn't pick up pitching in the offseason. We didn't pick up pitching in the trade deadline. This is why we're struggling now. So a lot of people tend to forget what the moves that Epler made to make this team better. Martin Maldonado is one of those guys. You know, he's been more than not just offensively but defensively, and the way he calls games. He's been, I don't want to say a godsend, but dude, he's filled in at the catcher's role, and Juan Gratterall isn't your awesome backup, you know, so Martin kind of has to pick up the slack. I wonder why Carlos Perez kind of fell off the face of the earth there for
development time, because like kind of how we were saying with Maldonado's going to play a lot of games in a row. So the reason why they took Perez, they still want to develop him, so he's not getting any better playing every 2 weeks. So the best thing you can do for a young player like that, go be that everyday player in Salt Lake, get your at bats, play 5-6 days in a row, you know, develop that way, because he's not going to develop when he's sitting on the bench and maybe pitch hitting every once in a while or playing every once in a while. So you still need a development. He's not going to develop with a catcher like Maldonado playing almost every day.
Right. Cool. All right. So with that being said, is there anything you want to touch on, Daniel, before we start wrapping it up and plugging our social media?
No, that's it. That's everything I have jotted down. So no, you know, big ups to Crone. The last
that guy's on fire.
Last handful of games with 2 home runs and 11 RBIs in the last 6 games. So he's a guy to watch out for.
Mm-hmm.
Alberts, they said he should play tomorrow, so that's something to look out for if he continues his hot streak. But yeah, just, you know, watch the games. Hopefully they're able to at least stay a 1 game out and able to produce some more better outings from the pitching.
Yeah. Again, we're gonna beat in it like a drum. Pitching, starting pitching needs to go deep into games. I'm asking for at least 6 innings. You know,
right?
5. Give me 5. I'll be at least like, okay, at least through 5 innings. You know. But anyway, like I mentioned before, if you guys are listening to us on iTunes or on Google Play and you want to send us a comment and you're not on Facebook or any of those social media websites, go ahead and hit us up on our email, which is allangelspodcast@gmail.com. That's allangelspodcast@gmail.com. Go ahead and send us your comments, your questions, concerns, whatever, anything you guys want to, or shout out, whatever. Hit us up on there. Where can they follow us on Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, so again, the Halo Haven account on Twitter and on Instagram, the same thing as Halo_Haven on both Twitter and Instagram. My personal Twitter is Dan Garcia 87. That's Twitter. Reach me there. But yeah, so that's our personal and Halo Haven's social media accounts.
Okay, and then you can follow me on, and I always have to check. That's the Halo Fan 15 on Twitter. It's the Halo Fan 15 on Twitter, and on Instagram it's Halo's Fan 1524 on Instagram. Big shout out real quick. I want to quickly say happy birthday to Anthony Henson from the Just Another Halo Victory fan page on Facebook. It's his birthday today. I think he turned 21. Again. Happy birthday, Anthony. He's a big Angels fan. Does a lot of charity work. I know he sells merchandise and he sells giveaways, and the profits go to the Children's Hospital in Orange County. I'm not sure I think Chalk or one of those. So he does a lot of good stuff. Big Angels fan. You can always catch him just wandering around the stadium every day. And a shout out to all the guys that send us questions on our email, Mike, Jeff, and Rob. Thank you guys for sending those in. That's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you to Chris Security Johnson and Halo Haven here at Halo Haven headquarters. We're back. We weren't on Facebook Live last week. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back here. Moving forward, it's not as hot. I didn't sweat as much today, so that's a big up right there. So thanks to Chris and everybody else. We will catch you guys next week. I'm Johnny Mags,
I'm Dan Garcia.
and this has been another edition of the All Angels Podcast.